Often when you see a review of Nullscape, it's constantly filled with a praise for the game with little to no mentions of criticism. But Nullscape has a lot of issues. The game constantly punishes you for being good at the game. It gets plain unfun when the difficulty just gets too unfair to even be a challenge anymore. And solo is absolute misery. The best way to describe Nullscape is a game where RNG decides your fate. Now, before I get into the main sections of this video, I do want to say that before anyone hits me with some skill issue argument, I currently have the standard world record. I've been to level 40 in extreme, I've been to level 100 in casual, and I'm still playing the game because I still think it's a fun game. This is all just criticism from someone who has played the game to a point where I've seen all it has to offer. Now, I won't be going into the issue with early game's artificial difficulty because I'm pretty sure everyone's complaining about early game at this point. But late game suffers the same exact issue as early game. Now, what do I mean by this exactly? Well, I'll explain it to you. In the early game, you often die due to a lack of movement choices because the game is frustratingly slow and clunky to move with. In the late game, when it becomes unplayable, you get to a point where you have a lack of options to the escape of amount of bullshit is on you and you're unable to see things. Both things suffer from a lack of options because the characters in this game are just way too limiting to be good enough to go to the higher levels. But while in early game there's still more to be unlocked, at end game you just become stuck, and which is why the world record is just so hard to break. You effectively are just praying for the game to not decide to kill you at any point from an off-screen Mart, Telefragger, or even fucking Husk that you just didn't know was there from a while ago because you're forced to have every single last curse in the game with no options to do anything about it. Nullscape just becomes a game where the entire thing is painstakingly fucking easy, and then after you get to the end game, it's just impossible. So you're just punished for being good at the game because now you can't even enjoy difficulty in the game anymore. Now, this comes to a point where you'll start challenging yourself to do things better. There's random mode, chaos mode, extreme mode if you're playing standard all the time, but the issue is that the only difficulty that comes from these modes after a certain point is just spam and RNG. That's the issue. Everything just relies on spam and RNG to keep you on your toes. Like, one, random mode is painstakingly easy on standard and casual because the game was never difficult to begin with because they're not even the hardest in the points. But then you go to extreme, and extreme's already in RNG fest of a mode, which is why people don't like playing it. But now you have to just pray you get nothing. If you don't get that, then you're fucked. It's like, where's the difficulty from besides from just fucking praying that the game won't just screw me over? And then you go to chaos mode, and chaos casual is pretty fun, even though it's still kind of easy because it's casual mode, of course. But then you get to standard, and then it suffers from the same issue as late game, where it just gets to a point where you just spam stuff, it's not even fun, and like, I don't feel like I'm pushing it because I'm getting better. I'm just like, the game decides if it wants to kill me or not. And if the game doesn't kill me, I get to live for another day. Now, your main thought will probably be something about the fact that maybe I've just gotten too good to the point where I'm tired of the game. And while I think that is true to an extent, and I'm not going to say that doesn't happen, I feel like a lot of stuff happens because this game just wasn't built to be an end game right now. In games like Pressure or Grace, you have modifiers which attune the game to difficulty that matches up to you. Now, you can make the game bullshit to the point that's unplayable, but you can also keep on pushing yourself to get to new limits without it just being spam. Of course, there's still RNG involved in those games, but the RNG doesn't just decide your fate and whether or not it will kill you, because there's still a lot more to be learned and to get better at, which is why it's so impressive and cool to look at and play, which is why I like playing those games. Curses are like modifiers in this scenario, where each curse makes the game progressively more harder by giving you natural selection between every levels. But the issue is that there's progression events and enemy progression events that will just start spamming a curse and enemy at you every single last fucking level till it becomes impossible because it just starts spamming and stacking. The difference between that and a game like Grace or Pressure is you just pick that and you're with that for the rest of the time. I'm not saying that having to pick a curse every now and then is a bad thing, but there's no reason for curse spam to be your only reliance on difficulty when the game should just be made harder in ways that don't just make it impossible to fucking see. The biggest issue is the progression events, as I just mentioned. All the progression events do is just add more of each enemy. Conga line, more enemies. ICBM, more enemies. Springer, more enemies. The fucking void shit, I forgot what it's called. With the fucking curses, more curses. Enemies, more enemies every level. There is not a single progression event that goes to the game and makes it just harder in a plain and simple way besides the progression events on level 5 and 18. After that, there's no more progression event that just makes the game harder. You have the sea mines, you have the ice tiles, you have the high rises, and then you have grind rails and sea mines. I don't know if I already mentioned that already, but I'm going with this without a script. It's just like, there's nothing else but just enemy spam to make the game harder, which is where the difficulty comes from. And adding more enemies is not a bad thing, but when it's your only form of difficulty without giving the player an option to fight back, that's where the issue arises. I'm not saying that a roguelike game will never get to a point where it becomes impossible to play, because that's with every game where you can infinitely push a game to its boundaries until it just becomes unplayable. But the game gets unplayable in the 60s for standard, and you can keep on pushing infinitely in casual, and extreme, it starts getting unplayable after 40. That's so early in the damn levels. That's not even more than half for extreme. Standard, we're pushing to 75, but like, God forbid you have every single last greater curse in the fucking game and now you have to deal with all that shit, because all we do is just spam it. It's nothing engaging, it's nothing new, it's just, wow, there's another Springer, wow, there's another Mart, wow, there's another baby, wow, there's another void-bound baby. And don't get me started on the curses that just obscure information. Yes, I'm looking at you, Pacifier. Pacifier is a horribly designed curse. Oh my god. And yes, I'm going to go down this curse rant. So many of the curses in this game are poorly designed, have no difficulty at all, and just do some bullcrap. Fake count. It just obscures information. It's free in the most annoying way possible. As I just said, Pacifier. It's free in the most annoying way possible. It just obscures information. And sometimes the line just won't even show, so you just get sniped by a baby. Let's see. We have Spring Loaded. All this curse does is push you up in the fucking air. It's incredibly easy to dodge. It's annoying as hell, and it'll just get you sniped by shit off the fucking camera. Where is the fun in that? Scattered Gifts doesn't make anything harder. Now, you're just gonna eat a trip mine every 5 seconds because it doesn't really do anything to make the game harder. Let's look at it. We got more trip mines and double trip mines. It's not that bad, but you're literally just spamming more sea mines and trip mines that just make the game more annoying. It slows down the game. That's what most of these do. It just slows down the game. It's resonating shockwaves and concussion. All concussion does is make you unable to move in a game where moving keeps you alive and you already don't have enough options to move. What sense does that make to punish you for hitting something that's supposed to be positive? Yes, it makes the bell dangerous. Yes, it's cool at a certain point, but concussion right now sucks. Mart Slide. This curse you avoid at all costs. What is the point of getting Mart Slide? It just kills you when it decides to kill you. That's not fun, that's not intuitive game design, it just limits your movement, makes things insanely infuriating, and now what? You're just left annoying and fucking mad. Another curse that I think is absolutely horrible is Shotgun and Camouflage, especially in tandem. Camouflage uses the obscuration of information that is a huge issue in this game, and just makes it 10 times worse with Guardian. And yes, they're adding an indicator to Guardian, but that won't fix the fact that you can't even see anything endgame to begin with. So basically, you're just gonna die, and then Shotgun takes the Voidbound Guardian and Guardian sniping issue and turns it up to 11, or sometimes you'll just get fully engulfed in the Shotgun and it'll just kill you because I decided to. I have a screenshot of this where I was playing extreme mode. This is the level 40 run, by the way, where I just died because Voidbound Guardian decided it was my time. And I couldn't do anything about it because my shield was taken from me by a Telefragger PvP because my teammates can't really see where we are because we don't have player radar, because player radar lagged up the game, and this game is a lag monster. So the game just decided it was my time, and I died. So that was it. Wasn't engaging, wasn't fun. it just decided it was my time. So basically, TLDR is that this game just spams stuff at you after a certain point. You don't have enough options to deal with the spam, and the progression events are horribly designed and don't do anything to actually improve the game because they just spam stuff, besides from the progression events that happen from level 20 or earlier. So after like level 20, there's no real difficulty added to the game besides from just progression events. Not progression event, besides from just curse spam and enemy spam, which is not very fun to deal with. Now, I've done a whole lot of complaining, but for some reason, YouTube has this thing where you can't give criticism about how you feel on something without giving feedback, and you'll get lynched for like not giving feedback, even though you just spent your entire time giving feedback, but you didn't provide an answer. Which I don't know why you do that. I think it's fine to give criticism if you don't know a solution, because that's at least acknowledging the problem exists. But I still think I know how to fix the problem, so I'll give solutions anyways. Realistic solutions, I think. Because I think like a lot of people, when they make a set of videos, make like solutions that like are impossible to do or make no fucking sense. I'm looking at you, Craft. Awesome content though, so I don't really care. But like some of his reworks were really bad. The first thing I would do is I would remove all progression events that just spam enemies or add more enemies or add more curses, I mean. These progression events do nothing to make the game more interesting. They just like make the game harder faster. But in a game that's all about pushing to limits, you don't need to make the game harder faster. It'll get harder over the course of time like it's built to be, because you're going to be better to go further. All this does is make the game more unfriendly to new players and makes the game more boring at the later levels for people who are actually at the game. Actually not that good to have at all and should just be removed from the game. So remove the ICBM progression event, remove the Springer progression event, remove the Husk progression event, remove any progression event that requires you to pick an enemy at every level, and remove any progression event that just makes you pick curses more often. The second thing I would do to make this game better to play is I would change the economy to be a lot more fair on the player, because when you get to a point endgame, you basically are purging for as long as possible, and then you stop purging and you start using prot because you literally just are guaranteed to start taking hits after a certain point. Now, I know that in the content update, they are like doing this thing where you're going to be less reliant on purge, but this still doesn't fix the issue that if you intend to go far, that the game's economy just won't be nice enough on you, and I'm hoping that they have something to fix that, but it probably won't be. And I think this issue mainly ties into my playtime with Extreme Mode. Extreme Mode economy is still horrible because you spend the entire time suffering with early game, then you purge for the entirety of mid game, and then you can't even afford the Aegis. You don't even go for the fucking Aegis upgrade because you're just going to be too broke to even go for that. So some gears are just entirely inaccessible. And then the scaling is like insanely unfriendly. You have to do one specific method to get the amount of money you need, and if you don't do that specific method, you just like not get anything. So besides from making the economy nicer, I think the economy, while it should exist in a way that is like fair, I think it should be made a lot more freer outside of casual mode, besides from just making it less reliant on purgatory. Since the content update is adding more curses, I think some curses that serve no value to the game, besides from annoying you and making you die to bullshit, should be removed. So here's a few things I think should happen. I think scattered gifts is unnecessary. I think more trips is unnecessary. I think fake count is unnecessary. I think 2 stacks of minefield is unnecessary. I think concussion should be reworked. I think Mart Sludge is unnecessary. I think pacifier is unnecessary. I think 2 stacks of bigger blast is unnecessary. I think the difference between closer and further husk is unnecessary and they should be combined. I think that conga line is unnecessary. I think that random husk should be removed from the game. I think that springboard should be removed from the game. I think that bloodier meat should be removed from the game. I think that camouflage should be removed from the game. I think shotgun should be removed from the game. I think that ambush should do something different because it overlaps with extreme mode. I think that Lost Embers is kind of like a nothing burger and should be made a bit better, or there should be another Corona curse to make it more interesting. I think Burning Bouquet should be removed from the game, and I think that Deadly Melody needs a rebalance. Another thing I would change is some enemies are kind of in an unhealthy state right now. So the ones that I think is that Voidbound Baby should be reworked. Voidbound Baby is just a baby with a quicker dash that doesn't add anything interesting to the game that couldn't have just been a curse. So Voidbound Baby should do something actually different, just like how Voidbound Guardian was changed from just being a better a better guardian to an actually unique enemy. I think that Flesh is unhealthy in design and it's kind of like really ass. I think it being slowed down is fine, but removing your ability usage entirely is just absolutely horrible design for a game where that will kill you instantly. I think that Voidbreaker's Greater Curses should get some changes to be more friendly towards people who aren't experienced with them. Because while I don't struggle with them personally, new players won't know that you have to backspot specific patterns or on Voidbreaker just to be able to deal with some shit. I think that Scrapmaw Extreme Mode should be made different because Extreme Mode Scrapmaw is kind of RNG dependent and is really annoying. I think that Extreme Springer should be made a progression event. I think that Extreme Mart should be made a progression event. I think that Extreme Husk should also be made a progression event. I think that Extreme Baby should be made a progression event. I think that Extreme Telefagger should also be made a progression event. I think that all the extreme changes should be made a progression event. I think that Extreme Guardian and Extreme Voidbound Guardian should just be removed entirely because they're kind of unhealthy for the state of the game right now and don't do much to really make things better. And Extreme Cologne is a nothing burger, and it should start from 1 to 16 instead of being 5 to 16. Now, this is the kind of miscellaneous stuff, so this isn't really going to have like its enemies or something, so here's what I think should be changed. I think map generation is absolutely horrible right now. It's extremely boring, it's insanely flat, it's insanely squish, and it gets you killed. And I think the map generation is one of the huge reasons why this game is kind of bad to play when you're good, because the map is just so squished and so horrible that you really can't do shit. I think high rises should be reworked because high rises are kind of like bad design. They just make the map vertical in a way that's like really annoying to deal with, and people just avoid high rises because you're just gonna die on them. And unless like you're like Charger or a class that just like doesn't have to deal with the consequences of its own actions, high rises are like a death sentence, and they aren't really fun and engaging to deal with. I think that a lot of curses are insanely like, you won't know what they do until you deal with them, and you won't know how to deal with them unless someone tells you how to deal with them. This being Bombardment and Ballet of Base specifically, but I also think that Malfunction and Oblivion also suffer from this issue, because Malfunction, you won't know that you have 0.5 seconds to react, so you'll just die to it, and you'll just keep on dying to it until you learn how to deal with it by death. But it's way better than something like Bombardment, where you'll just die, but the method to deal with it is so fucking like weird, because you have to backspot the swords to not die to them. So it's not that bad once you know how to deal with it, but then you just won't ever learn until someone tells you, yo, you have to use your back to dodge specific patterns, because you won't know that your back is the only way to dodge some of the things in Bombardment, which is like, just makes no sense. I think that Grace Wings should not be an upgrade at all. Casual mode has Grace Wings by default for a reason, and I don't know why that we're just copping out and making it so that casual mode just like is the only one that gets this quality of life that makes the game so much better. I know people who simply only play casual mode just because of Grace Wings, because Grace Wings being on Shop 8 just makes early game harder in a way that just limits your movement, which is not enjoyable in the slightest and is very fucking annoying. I also think that there just needs to be more upgrades in general that make you have better survivability, because even though your survivability is good for mid to late game, after end game you don't have enough to be able to deal with everything, and Blossom isn't enough to be able to deal with all the issues that you have. I think that player scaling should apply to more player lobby sizes than just solo, duo, party, and party plus. Party plus is insanely unbalanced, by the way, and I think Party Plus needs a rebalance, that it should either be made take longer because you have 20 people, or Party, Solo, and Duo should all be faster. In which case, I think the latter is better, and I think that Party, Solo, Duo should all be made faster instead of Party Plus just being the definitively best way to play this game besides some extreme. Remove ice skates not being applicable to level 5 in extreme mode, or make ice tiles spawn at level 8 like it normally does in extreme mode, because right now the ice tiles spawn earlier, so if you don't have any option to buy ice skates, so you're just forced to slip and slide, and not only does it kill your economy, especially something like solo, because you literally just can't fucking move, but you'll just end up dying a lot of the time because you're gonna slip and slide and get hit by like a husk or something because like you have no option to move. The main issue with this game is just a lack of options, Anyways, that's my main idea for what I would change to make this game better, besides from just adding new content, besides from all curses, of course. But, I know this is not going to be popular with a lot of people, because people don't like Nullscape being criticized for some reason, despite the game being very up for criticism, so, you know. But, maybe subscribe to my channel, please, so I can hit 3K subs. I'm still going to make Nullscape content, of course. I love the game, and I think it's awesome. It's not in a good state right now. The game isn't in a good state. It's not in a healthy state at all. There's a lot more issues I didn't mention when it comes to things like the community, where low ranks are insanely toxic, high ranks are insanely rankist, I guess. So everyone's just a fucking problem right now because the way this game is designed, which makes people just be worse because of how the game's fucking designed, and also like the curses and stuff too. Everything leads back to the game's fault for design, including the community. I'm sorry, the community is not fully at fault for some things being asked. It's the game's fault for making things some way. So if you believe that you're low rank and you're not part of the problem sometimes for being whether annoying as shit, I'm not saying like you're annoying as shit because you're low rank, but some low ranks are just mean as hell. So, but anyways, I'm going on a tangent. So this video is not about those issues. I might make a video about those issues later, because someone I know named Superpixel made a video about the issue, and while he did cover the situation, I don't think he covered that situation well. But thank you for being there. Oh shit, that Springer hit me. What the fuck? Okay. Anyways, bye. I don't know. This video is so messy.